Women are not just victims of conflict, they are active agents of change. Their voices and experience are essential for sustainable peace. I encourage everyone to support their participation in the peace process. I want to encourage other women to not give up and continue think about this and act in this direction. My name is Nina Potarska, and I'm a Ukrainian feminist activist and researcher. For about 10 years, I have been working on issues of human rights, gender equality, and peace building, and I represent Women International League for Peace and Freedom, and I'm the national coordinator for Ukraine. For more than 10 years, I'm director of the Center for Social and Labor Research. We have been analyzing social, economic processes, labor rights, protest movements in Ukraine, and key projects include topics related to women rights, economical participation of women, reproductive labor during the war, and security experience. And last one was related to recovery and the reconstruction process. And we're also thinking about how we can integrate women into this peace process and decision making. I came from the activist background, and for many years I was focused on topics about feminism, protests, and activities on the streets, for example. And my first PhD, which I never defend, was about political participation. And when war started in Ukraine, 2014, I decided to go with my first research about everyday life during the conflict from women's perspective to close to contact line, because those days was not clear what is going on with this conflict and what about this and where is the women place in these stories. So I went to occupied territories as well. I was detained there for a few days, and after they released me, I'm back. So after this first work in a close to contact line, I went too deep with my heart into this topic, and I tried to understand how we can bring our needs, because the one thing I learned from this research that people from both sides of the war, like ordinary people, have similar needs, and it's easy to find peace between them. It was the end of 2014 and the beginning of 2015. I was with a questionnaire, and after some activities, I got accreditation like a journalist. And I wrote a few reportages from Donetsk, mainly about how people live in there, how social infrastructure working, or how social centers, because there was a kind of orphanage house for young women who became young mothers. The center who care about this, we wrote about this story and how their life was destroyed by conflict because all social programs and all help was destroyed. So it was a small story of war-affected women, vulnerable, but and war-affected women during the war. After I was detained, I was also invited for a Ukrainian security service after I released with the question why they released me. Also because I got this journalist accreditation, the Ukrainian pro-government structure decided that I'm in collaboration with the occupied government. They consider all journalists like supporters or collaborators. They put me on a blacklist on the website Peacemaker. It's a website which was organized by people close to Ukrainian government, but during the Poroshenko time. And my name is still there. And they blame me in a collaboration with the occupied territories, which is not true. And to protect myself, I applied to European Court for Human Rights. And my case still there after 8 years, I think. So I'm still waiting for any decision. And of course, I have no doubts that the truth on my side. But still, it's, of course, in some way, it affects environmental around me, because they put me in a position when I always have to excuse that I'm there. And of course, it's kind of defamation, because when people Google me, they can find something good. And also this accusation. If we talk about gender inclusive mediation by itself, we have to show that involving women leads to more comprehensive and sustainable peace agreements by addressing community needs and long-term stability. Structural barriers and culture norms are also a way to this participation. We're trying to advocate the idea of this and why we need. It's not just add women and mix. It's not only about identity. So we have different demands us like humans, like and women from society, and we act in different way like men and women. It's not because we want to act like this. It's a logic of patriarchy way of thinking in this world. Of course, when we add into the discussion minorities and interest of small groups, which is difficult to defend the interest of these groups by democracy procedure, because always minorities. We are reducing the gaps and conflict drivers inside of society. But it's still difficult, because we're always trying to find the entry points, how we can explain on what language we can use, explaining why we need this. It's only me and my colleagues who are helping me from the office in New York. But what I can do, it's assessment and analysis, and I'm also trying to send the message through UN system with the reports to CEDAW committee, to other committees, which is where we can find the link with the gender agenda and the conflict or economical rights. We are trying to bring women from local grassroots organization, not from the capital or from big organization. We always trying to find a way to circulate and support and increase the capacity of small local organizations. I can say that if you're helping them, they are so grateful and they're so responsive for this help, and they can see how they grow and how huge this grow during these last 10 years. Because the best example which I can bring, it's an organization. When I met them, it was two young women. And now they coordinate organization for about more than 500 people after like 10 years. And they providing really important support, psychological support, social support, and they were helping evacuate people. And there was organization which was hosted people from Mariupol, from most terrible places during the war. So it's like how we can invest our time and attention to organization which is really need our support, not just working like like NGOs on a salary, because of course people with the activist background, they are driven by something inside of them, not only with a salary, or because it's we're talking about values. And of course I prefer work and rely on people with the same values as I have. Now we have a research which with the beautiful, and it's not like it's not beautiful by itself, but it's beautiful describe the issue we're dealing to. The name of this, the topic of this research, caring to survive, surviving to care. It's about reproductive labor, and it's because we call in economical vocabulary we call it reproductive labor. In human rights vocabulary we call it care work or unpaid work, which women providing to society for free. And it's exhausting. We notice the high level of burnout among the women. and not only women close to contact line, only women who helping and or women who dealing with the victims, and because it's too hard, it's too painful, and it's too long. We stuck up in these situations, and of course, if we're talking about social infrastructure, it's not only about statistic, but it's also like new reality when we have different requests from government towards men and women. So women can leave Ukraine, but men under the ban for traveling from Ukraine. And the reality is there's half of men fighting, another one hiding, and it's all economical, all reproductive function, labor on the shoulders of women. There is no social infrastructure supporting them. There is no payment which can satisfy their needs from government or from anywhere. So it's a very vulnerable position because weaker on the labor market before. They are not high demand even now. They have to care about kids because are in many cities and big cities. They still studying online because of security reasons. And also they have to think about future of the kids, about maybe if her husband fighting, she also in the worries about his life, and also she trying to find the resources or collect to support husband with equipment or like arm equipment to help him be safe, a more safe contact line. So it's a tool. They overload with everything, which is helping society and local communities to survive. But there is no help to women to support them, because if women burn out and if they will be dysfunctional, we cannot renew communities even after war. It's difficult from a local political perspective. We just trying to prepare the ground for these talks because it's still too painful to talk about this. We can start from the inside of the community, because even community by itself affected by the war, and there is so many divisions inside. I mean, between men who army and the women, the widows, and the women who still with their husbands, and people who IDPs and displaced people or local people, about language, about religion, about many things. So we can start from here. And then also we have people who live from the other side. And of course, from Ukrainian society and Ukrainian people still asking themselves how it's possible that Russians are not against the government, why they are treating us this way, why they want to kill us, and why support this, and why they support this evil which the government doing against that. But from the other perspective, of course, we're living in a global world, and we understand that we have not only a regional problem, and it's not only Putin decide destroyed Ukraine. It's not. We cannot simplify this story, but in the same way, we understand the story of imperialistic appetites towards countries, and of course, we in a one step of new changes in the world, and we all feel like we are stepping in a long period of conflicts, because the countries need to redivide this world, or redivide this power in the world. And that's why it's difficult to understand from where we like a civil society, from where we can start. We can maintain our strength to go forward. We can increase resilience of local communities, also psychological resilience, because it's a big challenge for your body, for your mental health, for your even existence. You're like a human, and even your presence in this world, because living in Ukraine every morning, you are not sure that you will have this morning. And it's also affect the way you think. Working with the WILF allows me to be part of the long story of feminist discussion about peace and war, and the rights of women during wartime, and how to protect and defend their rights during the war. There are many resolutions and many conventions, and will for the part of this advocacy efforts to have peace, like 1325 resolution or Beijing on all of this. It's a result of a global feminist movement, and WILF is a huge part of this movement. And I'm proud to be also part of this, but uh, we're also trying to add a local agenda to international level, and circulate this knowledge and perspective. We used to think that like West feminists or first world feminists more progressive than feminists and resistance in other countries. But of course, it's important, and how we also trying to present this agenda on an intersection level. We're trying to show the varieties, and we also trying to show the context specific, and how we can bring this context specific, and how we can maybe help donors to refocus their programs. Or so sometimes I feel my role like a link between local organizations and donors, local organizations and some structures in the European Union or in a UN system, just to, because we know the language they understand, and we have attention to grassroots problems and women, and we trying to bring them on the level that they can speak up and voice these problems. And of course, we're talking about systemic changes, because everything linked in this world, like economical issues, political issues, women participation, equality, human rights, social justice, and disarmament as well. So we're trying to find the links that show this approach as a holistic approach to the feminist peace. What are the key lessons? I think the main word which I can use due to this, it's a patience and attention, because we need to open additional rooms inside yourself to accept the reality we have. Sometimes it's reality too painful, sometimes it's frustrating, because we have to talk to our enemies, like, because we are all humans, and also I have my identity, and also I have my own triggers, and we as humans, we all have our own grounds and our triggers and some difficult topics to us. And I think it's a huge internal work with your feelings, with your mind, with your knowledge, with communication. And also, it's how I'm trying to start thinking about this. It's you kind of making step back to see everything from the distance, just to make sure that you not connected to these heavy emotions. And to our government, when we talk to our government representatives, we also trying to find the way how we can explain to them why it will be good to go with this approach, or why we have to add these people, or why we shouldn't do this or that. And it's maybe sometimes I think that I'm started from political economy and sociology, and now I'm more in like the ecological field, because we're talking about feelings, we're talking about needs, and we're talking about basic things and the things which is making us as a human. And but as I told, everything connected in this world. And it's also like, I remember first time when we met with a group of women from occupied, because before it was cross-contact line dialect of Ukrainian. And I remember how we cried a lot after we started, because it was too painful, too frustrating to think about our feelings, because the level of suffering and the level of frustration are too high for normal people. We never met this in everyday life, and we haven't this experience. But after we experience this, after we have this knowledge how we can go through this, and after we went through this pain and we're back, and we understand that we are not dying, it's making us stronger and even more deep and more soulful. With this experience, you can help others to talk and to find this capacity to go through this.